What's up, YouTube? It's Bum here, and welcome to my Week 17 NFL game predictions of the 2018-2019 season. This is the final week of the regular season in 2018. So this is kind of the final regular season episode. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of like a regular season recap after this before the playoff predictions. Because yes, I am going to predict the playoffs too. Just kind of because there's some things I want to do, and I don't want the playoff prediction video to be so long, so I kind of, just to make sure that's not the case, I think I'm going to make a regular season recap, and then do the playoff predictions, kind of more content for you guys, plus it's not gonna be as long of a video for the playoff predictions, because that would be the next episode if I didn't, and I'd just be cramming everything. I don't want to cram stuff, so yeah. I'll get to work on those all, but that's in the future. Let's focus on Week 17, and before that, let's focus on the past and look back to see how the Week 16 predictions went. As you guys can see, I went 9-7. I actually did the best. The Bull went 8-8, and Matt also went 8-8. Madden tried to pull it back because it went like 5-11, 6-10 there for like a couple weeks straight, which kind of put it in a hole. Unfortunately, though, as you guys can see, the overalls, I am 137, 101, and 2. The Bull is 135, 103, and 2, and Man is 120, 118, and 2. It is mathematically impossible for the Bull to come in first place, and very, very unlikely it's mathematically impossible for Madden to come in first place. It is very unlikely for Madden to even come in second place. For Madden to come in second place, the Bull needs to go 0-16, and Madden needs to go 16-0. And even if it went 16-0 and I went 0-16, I'd still have one more prediction right than the Bull. So that's unfortunate for Madden. It's looking like it's got third place, but it has a very interesting battle between me and the Bull for first place. As you guys can see, I am only a 2 prediction lead. It grew by 1, but still that's only 1. Literally, if the Bull gets 2 more predictions right than me next week, then we tie. And if the Bull gets 3 more predictions right than me next week, the Bull gets first place, and I get second for the entire season. So I really don't want to lose my own series, so I really hope that I get this right. So let's look at the matchups we had for last week, and then get back and get into these Week 17 predictions. Giants versus the Colts. I got that right at the Colts, but the Bull and Madden got that wrong with the Giants. Texans versus the Eagles. The Bull got that wrong with the Texans, but Madden got that right with the Eagles. Jaguars versus the Dolphins. I got that wrong with the Dolphins, but the Bull and Madden got that right with the Jaguars. Redskins versus the Titans. I got that right with the Texans, but the Bull and Madden got that wrong with the Redskins. Sorry, Titans. The Redskins at the Titans. I got that right with the Titans, but the Bull and Man got that wrong with the Redskins. Packers versus the Jets. We all 3 got that right at the Packers. Bengals versus the Browns. I got that right at the Browns. So did the Bull, but Man got that wrong with the Bengals. Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. We all 3 got that right at the Cowboys. Vikings versus the Lions. Me and Man got that right at the Vikings, but Man got that wrong. So the Bull got that wrong with the Lions. The Bills versus the Patriots. I got that right with the Patriots. So did Madden, but the Bull got that wrong with the Bills. Falcons versus the Panthers. We all 3 got that wrong with the Panthers. And I don't know what Madden and the Bulls' excuse is, but my excuse is I made that prediction before I knew Cam Newton was out. Ravens versus the Chargers. Me and Man got that wrong with the Chargers, but Madden got that. The Bull got that right with the Ravens. Disappointing one for me as a Steelers fan there, but Bears versus the 49ers. I got that right, the Bears, but the Bull and Man got that wrong with the 49ers. Rams versus the Cardinals. Me and the Bull got that right, the Rams, but Madden said the Cardinals and got that wrong. Steelers versus the Saints. Me and the Bull got that wrong with the Steelers. Very unfortunate. And Man got that right with the Saints. Kansas City versus Seattle. Well, I got that right with the Chiefs, but the Bull and Man got that. Sorry, I got that wrong with the Chiefs. But Bull and Man got that right with the Seahawks. And Broncos versus the Raiders. I got that wrong with the Broncos, but the Bull and Man got that right with the Raiders. So yeah, some upsets there. Definitely ones I wasn't expecting. Let's see what matchups this week brings. The final week of the regular season, and now we have a new obstacle to overcome, and we have to guess which teams are gonna bench and not. And I don't expect many teams to bench because there's a lot of playoff scenarios that are still wide open. So I think a lot of teams are going to want to win here. Some teams play for nothing. Some teams play for nothing and are versing teams that are playing for something. That's a case a lot there. So we're going to have to just see here. I know I'm picking for this. Let's get into it. And let's get into the final regular season predictions of the 2018 season in week 17. Alright, first off, we're going to have the Browns at the Ravens. I think this is more of a later in the day game now. I'm just going with the order that man gives me. So Browns at the Ravens. Of course, you guys know I've been saying all season I'm a Steelers fan. So if the Browns beat the Ravens, the Steelers should be play. If the Steelers win, Browns beat the Ravens, the Steelers are playoff bound. If the Ravens win here, the Steelers are out of the playoffs. You guys all know what I want to happen. I want the Browns to beat the Ravens. But unfortunately, I have to put bias aside and take the Ravens in this matchup. I'm very sorry. I hope I'm wrong. But I just don't see the Browns, even though they're very good this season, I don't see the Browns sweeping the Ravens because they already won this once. Ravens home field. Ravens have something to play for. The Browns don't. Even though Baker Mayfield seems very motivated winning these last games. I think the Browns could do this. It's not like ran off like last year, but I don't know. I've really been saying like the only loss I saw for the Ravens was the Chargers, and they were able to get that out. So I'm going with the Ravens here. Unfortunately, very very sad, but it's whatever. The Bulls going to agree with me and say the Ravens are going to beat the Cleveland Browns. But Madden is going to take the Browns to beat the Ravens 28-21. Madden, please be right. I would love that you were right for this matchup. Please, please, please be right for this matchup. Oh, you guys don't know how bad I want the Ravens to lose here. Go Browns. I can't believe I'm saying that, but go Browns. Let's go Browns. Dog pound. Alright. Next up, we have the Dolphins at the Bills. I'm going with the Dolphins here. Both of these teams are out of the playoffs, not in the hunt. They're playing for nothing. Dolphins are the better team here. Dolphins won this matchup once. Bills home field, though. Bills could win this. I think the Dolphins will. I think the Dolphins are the better team and should and will get this done. I think that finishes them at like an average 8-8 this season. So yeah, I think the Dolphins are gonna pull this one out. Really, both of these teams are kind of bad, but Dolphins are better, so that's why I'm taking them. I don't really know what else to say there. Just that's my reasoning. Bulls gonna disagree. Say the Bills are going to beat the Dolphins for this second matchup, and they're not gonna get swept. Madden's gonna agree with the Bull and say the Bills are gonna beat the Dolphins 26-17. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I think it makes more sense for the Dolphins to win. But a lot of matchups have been not going my way like that, and maybe that is one I get wrong. I don't know. I'm going to stick to it, though, and I'm going to stick with my prediction that the Dolphins are going to win against the Bills. Alright, next up we have the Eagles and the Redskins. And I am definitely picking the Eagles here because the Eagles do not have a playoff spot yet, but they are still in the hunt. They can't win the division. Even if they win and the Cowboys lose, they have the same record, but the tiebreaker, the Cowboys beat them twice already this year. So they can get a wild card, but they can't win the division. I think the Eagles are going to win because Nick Foles, they beat a playoff team in the Texans, and they beat the Rams. The Rams, too. Nick Foles is just something else when it comes to this time of year in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't see him being stopped by Redskins. I don't really have a quarterback. Pretty bad Redskins team. Pretty bad injured one. So I'm going to definitely say the Eagles are going to get this win against the Redskins. And possibly could go to the playoffs. The Bulls going to agree with me and say the Eagles are going to indeed beat the Redskins. And Man's going to make this a three-way agreement saying the Eagles beat the Redskins 33-27. I like that score, but I think it's going to be a little more decisive. However, that is just me. Alright, next up we have what I think is actually going to be Sunday night football for this, but Man says it's going to be a little earlier. It's Colts at the Titans. Now, this is probably the biggest and best game for this week because both of these teams could go to the playoffs or could miss. And this is the determining factor. Unless the Steelers win and the Ravens lose, then it would be Steelers and Ravens get that wild card. I think. Or no, I think the Ravens get kicked out. I don't know. I think this is definitely the biggest playoff. This is like the only game this week where a possible playoff team is versing a possible playoff team. It's the Colts or the Titans. And I'm going to pick the Titans. A lot of people are liking the Colts. They're hyping up the Colts. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think the Colts were going to be that good this year. And they're on the way to being 10-6 if they win this. So it's crazy. But I'm going with the Titans because I just think they're a little bit of the better team. This is going to be a really good game. This could go either way. I'm leaning towards the Titans. Maybe because I don't think that the Colts are still anything that good. Maybe I can't get my head around that. Or maybe it's because the Titans have home field advantage. I just like the Titans in this matchup. I think the Titans are going to win this. Colts could. But I think the Titans are going to win this. And probably most likely will be playoff bound. I don't know. I think it's because I really just can't see the Colts this season go to the playoffs. I really, even though like they're still a good team, like I just really wasn't expecting that this season. The Bulls gonna agree with me and say the Titans win this against the Colts. Man's actually gonna make this a three-way agreement and say the Titans are gonna beat the Colts in a complete shootout, 49-35. Well, I think it's going to be a little bit more low scoring than that, but, yeah, could be that high. I don't know. Alright, next up we have the Lions at the Packers. And I'm going with the Packers. The Packers almost lost to the Jets of all teams, but they won it in overtime. Aaron Rodgers did Aaron Rodgers things and got it done. Lions lost to the Vikings. Pretty badly too, I think. I think the Packers are the slightly better team here, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be enough to get this one done. So yeah, that is why. Plus, Packers home field. A lot of signs pointing to the Packers. I like the Packers more here, so I'm going to take the Packers to beat the Lions. The Bull is going to disagree and say the Lions are going to beat the Packers. But Man's going to agree with me and say the Packers beat the Lions 21-17. I like that score. I think it's going to be on the lower side maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see how that one turns out. Alright, next up we have the Jaguars at the Texans. The Jaguars completely just don't know what happened this season. Did very, very bad. The Texans are playoff bound. I actually don't think they secured their division yet. It depends what happens with the Colts and Titans game and what happens here. That's why I think the Texans are gonna win. They have way more to play for than the Jaguars. They could get higher in seeding. They could win the division. So I think the Texans are gonna win. Plus, they're just a way better team than the Jaguars are. And it's their home field, man. Tons of signs pointing to the Texans. So that's an easy pick for me there. I could see the Jaguars win that and upset, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Texans are going to definitely take this one because they can't, with all the seeding orders, all they can control right now is the win they get here, and I think they're going to do it and beat the Jaguars here. The Bull, however, is going to say the Jaguars beat the Texans and somewhat ruin some of their playoff hopes. Not fully, they're playoff bound, but they're not division crowns, and seeding could change. Madden's actually going to agree with the Bull and say the Jaguars beat the Texans 38-24. That's like the second or third highest scoring game the man has predicted this season. Don't think man knows what's going on with that offense, or they think the defense is getting a lot of turnovers. I don't know. Turnovers for points even. I don't know what's happening there, but yeah. Jaguars, I could see them upsetting a little bit here, but I don't know. I think the Texans are just way too much to play for to lose here to a team like Jacksonville. So I don't know. Alright, next up we have the Raiders at the Chiefs. And kind of like last matchup, Chiefs have way more to play for than the Raiders. The Raiders were not this. They got an upset win against the Broncos last week. Chiefs lost to the Seahawks. I think the Chiefs are a clear better team. The Raiders have just not really been that good this year. Chiefs better team, have more to play for. All they can do is win this game here, and it depends. They could, if they lose, they can't bench, because if they lose, that means their seeding goes all the way down to 5, because the Chargers are right there. If the Chargers win and the Chiefs lose, Chargers win that division. Chiefs are the 5th seed in the wild card. So I think the Chiefs are going to not bench here. They're going to play, and they're going to get this win against the Raiders to secure their divisional title and the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Bull thinks the Raiders are going to upset the Chiefs to stop them from winning, possibly stop them from winning the divisional title and get the number 1 seed. Man's going to say the Chiefs beat the Raiders 28-21, agreeing with me. Yeah, maybe it's that low. I don't know. I think the Chiefs got this one pretty good. It's their home field, too. I don't know. It could go either way. I just really like the Chiefs here. They have way more to play for. If the Chiefs do bench for some reason, then maybe. But I don't think they will. I think it's just there's more to play for here. But I guess upsets could happen like that. I don't know. The Bull picked 2 of those in a row. Alright, next up we have the Bears at the Vikings. The Vikings here, they could, I believe, are looking like they could be playoff bound as a wild card. The Bears have clinched their division, I think. But they could get more higher seeding with a win here. I think I'm going with the Vikings here. This is one of my kind of upsets I'm picking this week, because the Vikings are not the better team. It is their home field, but even though I've been saying that a lot this episode, I always say home field doesn't really matter. It kind of does, but it doesn't really matter. I think even though the Bears are a really good team, and they probably might not bench because of how much of a better seeding they can get, I think they're going to choke this last win here against their divisional rival, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings are going to play to get this last wild card, and they are going to be able to get this wild card here with a win here. I think that's how it's gonna go down. I could play it safe and pick the Bears to win because they have a little bit more to play for, but I think you can make an argument that the Vikings have more to play for, because if they lose here, they might not make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, they could not make the playoffs and the Eagles would come in. So I think the Vikings are going to win here. Yeah, a little bit of an upset, but I think it could definitely happen. The Bull, however, is going to play a little bit more safe and say the Bear team in the Bears are going to beat the Vikings here. And Matt's going to agree with the Bull and say the Bears beat the Vikings 31-14. That could definitely happen, but this is just one of the upsets I'm taking because I think the Vikings are going to slip into the playoffs here. And this is just a game that the Bears are going to choke. But, of course, like most predictions, I could be wrong. Alright, next up we have the Jets at the Patriots. And, yeah, definitely taking the Patriots here. Will they bench? I don't think so, because I think if the Chiefs lose, they can get the #1 seed if they win here. And yeah, just because of the seeding situation, I don't think they're going to bench. And even if they do, I think Belichick can win against here, find a way to win this game. Jets had a pretty good game against the Packers. However, I just don't think they'll be able to beat the Patriots. Even with the backups, I kind of like the Patriots here. Even though, like I said, I don't quite think they're going to bench, but you never know. They could not. I don't know. The Bull might think the Patriots are benching because the Bull's going to take the Jets here. I believe this is like the 3rd or 4th time in a row that the Bull went against the Patriots. It might have paid off, but it may have not. The Madden is going to say the Patriots win, agreeing with me, 38-24. I think that's a little more like it if the Patriots don't bench, but if they do, I guess it could go either way. Alright, next up we have the Panthers at the Saints. The Panthers have nothing to play for, however, the Saints, in a good way, have nothing to play for because they've clinched everything. They clinched home field, they clinched #1 seed, they clinched their division, they clinched everything they could possibly clinch. So, they should be definitely benching. So it's the bench of the Saints versus Cam Newton-less Carolina Panthers. However, they might be Cam Newton-less, but they still have players like Christian McCaffrey, Luke Kuechly, good players like that. And I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a game here. So I'm going to take the Panthers to beat the Saints bench. Remember, bench. So for some reason, if they don't bench, it's definitely the Saints sure definitely won that. They had a close game without full strength, kind of, because Cam Newton was iffy. But I think the Panthers, even without Cam Newton, I think they should be able to beat the Saints bench. Yeah, I just think Christian McCaffrey's gonna have a game here. And all the good players are going to be benched. Breeze, probably Kamara, Michael Thomas, Mark Ingram will probably play. Yeah, I think the Saints are going to bench most of their good players, and the Panthers should be able to win this one here. It's not a game that they should lose, but it makes sense because they did bench. But if they didn't, Saints would definitely win. The Bull thinks that either the Saints bench is going to step up or they're not benching because the Bull's going to take the Saints here. And Man's going to agree with the Bull and say the Saints beat the Panthers 28-20. By the way, I'm not sure if Man benches, but I don't think Man's going to bench players week 17. And even if they do, I don't know if Man has the Saints going to the playoffs in this franchise. So I don't know how much I'd like to take that prediction, but hey, it could I don't know anymore. It could go either way. The Panthers have been very surprisingly bad ever since they were like 6-2, but I think they'll be able to at least get this last win against this bench team. So I don't know. Like I always say, we have to see. Alright, next up we have the Cowboys at the Giants. The Cowboys, I believe, I know they clinched their division. I don't think they have anything else to play for. I don't believe they do. I think no matter how good they do, they can't go higher up in seeding. I think their four seed is all they can get. So they should bench their players. And even though the Giants have been struggling, I think the Giants are going to be just enough to be able to beat this one. So I'm going to pick the Giants to beat the Cowboys because I think the Cowboys will be benching here. I believe they will be. I don't see why they aren't. If they don't, and the Giants, Odell, Saquon, they should be able to beat a team that benches their best players. That's my reasoning behind it. Giants have home field. I think the Giants will get this last win. The Bull, however, is going to say the Cowboys are going to win this. They either bench or they won't bench against the Giants. So Bull's going to take the Cowboys here. Matt's going to agree with the Bull and say the Cowboys beat the Giants 17-10. I like that score, and I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a little bit nervous here. It's getting interesting because the Bull's going against me a lot here. And remember, I only have 2 more predictions. If I lose 3, if I get 3 less than the Bull, I'm out of this. I'm second place, and Matt Bull has number 1. So we'll have to see how this all ends out. It's gonna be very interesting, guys. It's gonna be very, very interesting. All right, next up we have the Bengals at the Steelers. My team, my game. They kind of have something. The Steelers have something to play for. They can't lose this. If they win and the Ravens lose, they're in. If they win and the Ravens win, the Ravens are in and they're just out. Unless the Titans and Colts tie, which I don't think is going to happen. I'm surprised Man doesn't think that because Man loves taking ties. But I'm definitely going with the Steelers here. Way more to play with the Bengals. And like Stephen A. Smith said, this is kind of like a bye week for the Steelers when it matters against the Bengals. Now, I'm not that confident to say it's a bye week because I know that my Steelers, but I think they can definitely pull this one out at least because it matters. It matters for the playoffs. I don't think the Steelers are going to let the Bengals ruin their playoff hopes. If they do, man, I am just so done and I'm going to cry. And I'll cry on camera to make a video. So I just really don't think the Steelers are going to let the Bengals, of all things, I think they're going to at least let the Ravens win, because they can't do anything about that. They're going to have the Ravens win for them to get kicked out of the playoffs. I don't think it's going to come down to them losing to the Bengals. If they lose to the Bengals and the Browns win, oh my gosh, you guys don't know. You guys don't even know. Oh my god. The Bulls going to agree with me and say the Steelers are going to beat the Bengals. And I think the Bull is, thinking what I'm thinking here. And Madden is actually going to take the Bengals to win this one, 27-24. Steelers have home field, by the way. Man, I don't know about that, man. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong for this one, but I hope you're right for the Browns winning against the Ravens. Please, man, be wrong for this one, but be right for the Browns one. Alright, next up we have the Falcons at the Buccaneers. Both these teams have nothing to play for. Falcons very injured, and they're kind of bad. Buccaneers just bad. Falcons have been doing more recently. I'm going to take them. I think the Falcons are the slightly better team here, even with all their injuries, which is kind of sad to say for the Buccaneers, but oh well. Maybe the Buccaneers, again, somewhat of an upset here. I just think the Falcons have been playing better and have been winning more games. So I think the Falcons are going to win against the Buccaneers. Madden, sorry, not Madden, not yet. The Bull is going to take the Buccaneers to beat the Falcons. And Madden's going to agree with me and say the Falcons beat the Buccaneers 31-14. that score can happen. Alright, next up, we have the Chargers at the Broncos. And man, the Broncos, disappointing loss against the Raiders. The Chargers, a disappointing loss against the Ravens. Chargers, clear better team here. Chargers, more to play for because if they win this, they get the number 1 seed. If the Chiefs lose. If they lose this, they're still at the 5 seed. And man, I might be crazy. I'm taking the Broncos to get this huge upset against the Chargers that no one's going to see coming. Maybe I shouldn't pick this. The Chargers are a very, very better team than the Broncos. But I'm just picturing the Broncos upsetting the Chargers and the Chiefs getting their number 1 seed. Man, I kind of thought of this before that I saw the Broncos beat the Raiders, and I thought I kind of wanted to switch, but I was like, man, if I don't take this upset and it does happen, you know how mad I'm gonna be. So just from saving my sanity, if the Broncos do upset the Chargers here, I'm taking the Broncos. They are home field advantage. They can do something. Divisional rivalry game. Upsets happen. Chargers choke. Why not? Give me the Broncos here. This one might be stupid, but it's also dumb. Now, I think this upset could happen, so I'm taking the Broncos to heavily upset the Chargers. And like all times I think I'm taking the upset, the Bull is going to agree with me and say the Broncos are going to upset the Chargers. Always necking my upsets. Mad at the Bull, not mad. The man's actually going to be probably the smartest one here and say the Chargers are going to beat the Broncos 24-7. Most likely you guys are going to agree with man's pick here, but who knows? We'll have to see. A lot of upsets have been happening. I don't see why that one can't. Alright, next up we have the 49ers at the Rams. I'm taking the Rams because they have more to play for than the 49ers. And I believe I saw they should not bench. I know they might not have Todd Gurley, but they should not bench because I think if they lose and other teams win, they could go down in the seeding. They clinched their division, but they could, I think, get as low as like 3. They could, I don't know, they might bench here. But I think their number, if the Bears win and the Rams lose, I think the Bears get number 2 seed. Or the Bears already have 2 seed, and if they win, they get 2 seed. I don't know. I believe the Rams have like the 3rd seed now, or the 2nd seed, and they could get lower or higher. I remember the exact. I don't remember the exact scenario, but I just remember that the Rams would be smart here, not to bench and make sure they get this win. So I'm gonna take the Rams to beat the 49ers. The Bulls going to agree with me and say the Rams are going to beat the 49ers here. Man's going to make this three-way agreement saying the Rams do beat the 49ers 29-26. Not going to lie, if the Rams do bench here, I could see the 49ers definitely winning, but I just don't think they will. And last but not least, final game here, the Cardinals at the Seahawks. This is going to be the final regular season game I predict this season. And I'm taking the Seahawks, definitely. They have way more to play for, potential wild card. I believe it's not secure yet, but they do have it, or in it. And I think they beat the Chiefs. I think they can definitely beat the Cardinals here. Cardinals, way worse of a team. Seahawks, way more to play for. Gotta get this win to make sure they get in the wild card here. And also home field advantage. So lots of signs pointing to the Seahawks. So I'm taking the Seahawks to beat this game over the Cardinals and get in the playoffs. The Bulls going to agree with me and say the Seahawks are going to beat the Cardinals. And man's going to make this final prediction a 3-way agreement and say the Seahawks beat the Cardinals. Alright, quick recap, shall we? Browns at the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens. Bulls taking the Ravens. Man's taking the Browns. Dolphins at the Bills. I'm taking the Dolphins. Bulls taking the Bills. Man's taking the Bills. Eagles at the Redskins. I'm taking the Eagles. Bulls taking the Eagles. Man's taking the Eagles. Colts at the Titans. I'm taking the Titans. Bulls taking the Titans. Man's taking the Titans. Lions at the Packers. I'm taking the Packers. Bulls taking the Lions. Man's taking the Packers. Jaguars at the Texans. I'm taking the Texans. Bulls taking the Jaguars. Man's taking the Jaguars. Raiders at the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. Bulls taking the Raiders. Man's taking the Chiefs. Bears at the Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings. Bulls taking the Bears. Man's taking the Bears. Jets at the Patriots. I'm taking the Patriots. Bulls taking the Jets. Man's taking the Patriots. Panthers at the Saints. I'm taking the Panthers. Bulls taking the Saints. Man's taking the Saints. Cowboys at the Giants. I'm taking the Giants. Bulls taking the Cowboys. Man's taking the Cowboys. Bengals at the Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers. Bulls taking the Steelers. Man's taking the Bengals. Falcons at the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Falcons. Bulls taking the Buccaneers. And man's taking the Falcons. Chargers at the Broncos. I'm taking the Broncos. Bulls taking the Broncos. And man's taking the Chargers. 49ers at the Rams. I'm taking the Rams. Bulls taking the Rams. And man's taking the Rams. And Cardinals at the Seahawks. I'm taking the Seahawks. Bulls taking the Seahawks. And man's going to take the Seahawks. And guys, that's taken the regular season to an end by predicting. If you guys want to see how these predictions do, make sure you watch next episode, which is going to be a regular season recap. Basically, I'm just going to say how season week 17 went, who won in this, who came in first. I'll need the Bull and Madden. We're going to take a little bit look at what the playoff picture is going to look like. And we're also going to see in the connected franchise that Madden had, what Madden predicted. We're going to take a little bit of a look in that connected franchise. We're going to see what Madden saw the playoffs to be and compare it to what it really is. And compare the team's record that Madden had versus the actual team records. And just kind of compare how this connected franchise season went that I used for Madden's predictions to real life. I was going to do that in the playoff predictions, but I thought that was going to be way too long, so I decided to make it all into one video for a regular season recap. And then after that, I'll be doing predicting the playoffs. I'll predict, the Bull will predict, and Madden will predict. And after that, then we'll do a playoff recap, final episode, and then I'll have a little bit of an announcement for the future of these, because I will be doing more of these next season. So yeah, we're a little bit over than usual. Sorry if this is a little bit longer video, but hey, it's kind of the regular season finale. Well, I guess next week is technically, but it's the last prediction for the regular season, so allow it. Plus, there's a lot to talk about with who's benching, who's not, and reasoning and stuff. So yeah, had to justify some of my stupid picks. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like or dislike, subscribe or don't subscribe. You know, it's always up to you. I'll see you guys in the next video you watch of me. Goodbye.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong.